Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to the Alertus webinar series. My name is Jamie Underwood, Director of Marketing Communications at Alertus Technologies. Today's session will cover emergency communication system challenges and solutions for boarding and preparatory school. We ask that you please hold all questions at the webinar. However, feel free to type any questions in the chat box during the presentation or during the Q&A at the end of the session. This webinar is being recorded, so please email marketing@alertus.com if you're interested in receiving presentation slides or videos. I would now like to turn it over to today's webinar presenter, John Dorney from Alertus Technology.
Well, thank you, Jamie, and thank you everyone for joining. Again, this is John Dorney from Alertus. I'll quickly introduce myself and give you some background on Alertus. I've been in the mass notification and emergency communication industry for close to 9 years now. Started off working with Department of Defense contracts, but now I focus mostly on the boarding and preparatory schools, which is what this webinar series will be geared to. I see by the list of attendees and some who have signed up that there are some hospitals and one military base and some some colleges joining. So I will try to change up and gear some of the slides towards you as well. So Alertus started back in about 2002 after a tornado went through a University of Maryland campus. And unfortunately, a couple of students died. So some students at the University of Maryland, now alumni, designed Alertus's first product, and that was the Lirc Beacon, which is a wall-mounted emergency alerting device. And I'll get into that during the presentation. And Alertus has grown to really, as far as I'm concerned, the best emergency communication provider in the world. So what I'll do is quickly step through some of our existing clients here. St. Benedict's is representative of St. Benedict's is here. He'll be able to answer some of the questions towards the end of the presentation. Protestant Episcopal Catholic. There's about 12 boarding preparatory schools throughout the country now that are using it, the Alertus system. There are hundreds of colleges and military bases, and we'll get into some of the references towards the end. So what is Alertus? Basically, we're a net-centric emergency communication provider. So what does that mean? We're hosted locally on your local network. We're not out in the cloud, so we do not depend on the computer network or do not depend on the internet to work. And I like this slide because it really just gives you an idea of how the system all ties together. And you'll see on the periphery of this circle all the individual alerting devices that we have on our system, the Lirc Beacon, desktop notification. What I'm going to do in this slide is I'm going to just quickly touch on each one of the nodes and tell you how each one works, and then at the end we'll do a demonstration of the Alertus emergency communication system, because really the proof is in the pudding, and I think when customers get a chance to actually see it in action now, it's very impressive. So what I'll start first telling you about is the activation software. So what is the activation software? It's hosted locally on your campus network. It can be accessed through any web browser, basically Google Chrome or IE or Firefox. And you can quickly hit the emergency alert activation and notify all your peripherals connected to the Alertus system. It's a very simple graphical user interface. I can tell you from experience that during a real emergency situation, you want something very simple to use, a very easy to use graphical user interface, because you don't want to have to continue to type out messages. And what the software does, it gives you pre-canned sort of messages, as well as the option of adding on-the-fly messaging, which we'll show during the demo. The activation software has several features, including the zoning capability. Here we show the map display. That's actually one of the campuses, I think, down in Washington, but we'll get into that during the demo. So one of the peripherals and one of the nodes in our system is the Lirc Beacon. So you log into the software application, you activate the Alertus software, and the Lirc Beacons will sound. The alerting beacons have both a visual and an audio message, and the audio siren will will reach as high as 105 decibels, which is extremely high, and will draw most of the students' attention towards the Lirc Beacon. You can then see the visual display across the Lirc Beacon. It's battery backup. It has redundant communication paths, which we'll talk about during the demo. Also, it has a plug-and-play panic button, which we'll show you, which we have a picture of on one of the upcoming slides. The Lirc Beacon comes and it mounts to the wall, usually about 40 inches above grade, so that someone who is handicapped or in a wheelchair can see the Lirc Beacon and can read the display. And again, it's battery backup, so if you lose power in the campus or wherever the beacon is displayed, it'll continue to work. These are the different sort of displays. We have the orange and the white, and again, this can be mounted outdoors and indoors. So if you remember back to that original slide, I showed all the peripheries. The Lirc Beacon is really just one of many of the nodes that's part of the complete integrated alerting solution that we have. Another node, along with the Lirc Beacon, is the desktop notification. Now, the desktop notification is a client that sits on all of your computers within the school network, and whatever that message is that's typed into the Alertus software application or Alertus notifications system or one of the pre-canned messages will play across the speakers of the computers and will also display on the computers. So not only are you getting that message on the alerting beacons, you're also getting it across your computers. Now, what I love about this particular feature of the Alertus system is it's bidirectional. And what that means is the student or the faculty or the guest can then acknowledge the alert, and it creates a history of the emergency messages. So you now have an accountability system that you have a list of everyone who has acknowledged your alerts. So you may want to just send out an important message, say, to all your faculty, and everyone acknowledges the message, and you have an actual list of acknowledged messages. Also, it can be customized, which we'll show during the demo towards the end of the presentation, to have your school logos and to have school-specific colors so that when it does pop up on the computers, it's very clear that this is an emergency message from the school. This isn't something else, some other software application running, and it's going to take precedence on the screen. It's going to override whatever it's going on. So, the student is listening is doing work, or they're on YouTube or whatever website, and it will take over the screen and overtake what they're already doing. So I touched on the Lirc Beacon, I touched on the desktop alerts. Now we also have the digital signage override. So digital signage is one more node in the Alertus system. It will use a lot of schools. They have the digital signs in the cafeterias or in the egress points of the school, and what we do is any display that has a computer attachment or connects to the local television station, local TVs, can have the Alertus system override the digital display. So not only are you hitting the beacons, the computers, now you're hitting all the digital displays. Now another node, and this is probably one of our most popular and most powerful features, is our text-to-speech ability. So not only are you getting that textual display, you're also getting an audio display. We have a proprietary and a custom text-to-speech module that we developed that will give text-to-speech messages over your existing public address systems or your existing fire panel systems. And it can do that through two methods. It can use a serial port to communicate with the panel, but we can also just induce an audio signal. So if you currently have a fire annunciator or a public address system, we can just simply put audio into that system and give you an integrated emergency communication system across your system. And again, it's a unified message. It's something I definitely want to continue to hit on during our presentation. Is this is going to be, you're going to get the exact same message across your entire campus, and basically with one button click. So another nice feature about this is it also has status back from the fire panel and from the PA system. So one of the major concerns that I've heard from several boarding and preparatory schools is across campus, their fire panel may be activated, or someone may pull the panel, and they don't know until basically until the fire trucks arrive, and that, or until someone maybe even the next day that building whatever across campus had an emergency, because there's really no way of monitoring fire panels when you have different manufacturers across your campus for different panels. And what we do is we can tie all these panels together into one cohesive, integrated system and monitor each of those panels into one emergency system. So all of a sudden you have not only an emergency communication system to communicate during an emergency, you also have a system that monitors the status of your existing system. So that's extremely powerful. I think if you think back to some of the old time sort of sirens and things like that, they never had sort of that two-way communication. So that's the indoor PA. So the beacons, the digital displays, the fire panels. One of our newer features is the mobile. This has been extremely popular with a lot of the colleges. We have several hundred colleges that are our current customers, and we have two mobile applications. One of them activates the alert system. So how does that work? The administrator or emergency response coordinator, whoever is you authorize, will get a app for their phone. It could be Android or iPhone, Android device, and you can actually activate the alert system. So instead of actually logging into the emergency alert system through the browser, you can now do it with your phone. So in addition to the browser, again, in summary, you have the phone, you have a panic button. We also have a USB panic button. So now there are several ways to activate the system. Now, another mobile device, our second mobile device, is actually the recipient, the Alertus recipient app, which will then receive the alert. So in addition to the Lirc Beacon and the other devices, you'll get the alert on your mobile device. And that comes under our ENS package, which I can touch on later. Now, along with the outdoor alerting components, we also have several outdoor options. So we have sort of lower-powered text-to-speech speakers which go on egress points. So say the parking lots or doorways or certain ways you enter and leave buildings. But we also have sort of a higher powered solution. So this is an outdoor high-powered speaker array. This particular picture is for a city that has an outdoor speaker system. But basically, the way that this works is we use our text-to-speech module and we give a siren tone followed by the clear voice message. So again, in summary, we have the Alertus notification server application. We have each of the nodes that will be activated, and this outdoor portion will just be one more of those nodes. And then each customer will then sort of customize their system and build their system based on their particular alerting needs and also what they have existing. Now, one last note, and I don't think I put a slide in here, but I do want to touch on if you do have an existing text alerting system, so that sends out SMS messages or emails, we do integrate with almost every third-party SMS text provider. So that's another one of those nodes that we can talk about during the Q&A if anyone has any questions on that. So that was very quick. I really wanted to wanted to get through the presentation very quickly so that you got a chance to actually see the system activate. I think that's really important. One last note: we are CAP and FEMA Cap Certified, which means we can integrate with the IPAWS and some of these NOAA systems. So, if you are in an area that has weather concerns, some of our customers are in sort of Tornado Alley and other areas, we can automatically activate our system through third-party applications as well. So that's something I can definitely answer during the Q&A. So, what's sort of the next steps? Once you sort of get an idea of what Alertus does, so what are the next steps sort of after that? Well, we can put together a design for you, and this is sort of what we'll put together in an indoor building, and give you an idea of, okay, this is the optimal coverage for your school. So if you give us sort of this map and some drawings, we can put together the ultimate coverage area, and then we can sort of scale it back and go through several iterations, several designs, and we have to be realistic. Also, there's most of our customers do have budgetary concerns, of course, so we will usually come back to some middle of the road design, and then over the course of 5-10 years, we can slowly build on it as budgets come along and these sorts of things. So I hope that wasn't too fast. I really wanted to get through it quickly. I'm going to pass over to Jamie in our office in Washington, D.C., outside Washington, D.C., and she's going to, her and Miles, we're going to do a quick demo of the system. And so...
Sounds good. Thank you, John. So, again, my name is Miles. It's nice to meet everybody. I want to give you guys a quick overview of the interface. So when you log in, this is what you'll see. Now, we've set up the system to be very basic for a reason, so it's simple and easy to use. There are multiple ways, certainly, to send out the alerts, but through the system, this is, certainly I'm going to give you a walkthrough and show you how this works. The emergency activation, this is where the messages are going to go out to everyone, campus-wide. You're going to have these pre-scripted messages already set. So an example, you guys have an intruder lockdown. You want to select that. That message then will go out to the entire school or network that you guys have. As far as the preset activations, that's going to be where all the custom workflows are located. So let's say you have a specific incident where you have a chemical spill, and you want the alert to go to that building and a radius around it. You have the ability to do that. So that's in the presets. So, as you can see, we've created a bunch of presets here. If we do like a system test, an example, that's a specific scenario that we have set here. Now, you don't want to have too many presets, so certainly you want to keep it as simple as possible. Anywhere from about 10 to 15, depending on the size of the school, is what we recommend. For the Alertus Desktop Premier, that's where you're going to customize all of your alerts. So that's where it comes in hand for the desktop takeover that John was mentioning about. You have a lot of different choices. You could do the full screen takeover. You certainly have full customization of these messages. So if you want to do a bomb threat and reword it to a specific area, you have the ability to do that. Now you can customize it with colors. You can customize that with a school logo, however you want to do that. We suggest that with all the alerts that you guys are having, you have codes and colors that represent the bow. So, for example, if you have a serious bomb threat, maybe it's a red. If you have an all clear message, like the situation's been taken care of, you'd switch that to green. Now you have the full screen takeover, but you also have the ability to do a ticker. So let's say, for example, you could do a ticker at the bottom of the screen, or even like a quarter screen where you'll have the capabilities for HTML format, links, and so on. A lot of schools recently, and it's been a very trendy topic, is using the tickers for early school closings or weather alerts, so they can use the system a lot more. So obviously you don't want to use that full screen takeover for a weather alert, but the ticker would be a great place to start for that. The configure system, this is the brain of the system. So this is where you set up your permissions, your HTML templates, workflows, and presets. We have great training here at Alertus and great support. Certainly, I want to stay a high-level conversation for this. So, if you do have any questions for what I'm going through so far, certainly message Jamie, and John and I can dive a little bit more into that. Now, I will show you the reports, but first I want to send out an alert. So, to go through and send out that alert, you're going to go to your emergency activation. We'll just do the system test that we have set up in place. And the next step will be continue. That'll give you a quick overview of the different devices that are being sent out. And the next step that you'll want to do is hit send. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the camera. I'll let you know when I click send to give you the ability and understand, how quickly and effective this works. And then after that, certainly I'll give you a quick walkthrough of the reports and then what it looks like so you can see that. Let me switch over to the camera. So a couple things I want you to take notice to. We have our LED screen right here. Above that is the speaker. So towards the end, you will hear the text-to-speech interface. Take notice to our alert beacons, and then we have both the desktop and the laptop. Now, John mentioned briefly about the panic buttons. We do have them in hardware, where we have both the on-the-wall, and then you also have more of like the kind of like hidden alert where you can put it under a desktop and then pull the trigger for the notification if you want it to be hidden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the alert, and then you'll see how quickly it works.
This is a test of the Alert's emergency notification system. No action is needed.
So for that, I wasn't able, I accidentally clicked into the quarter screen and not the full screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press a panic button, send off the alerts again, and give you guys a better visual. So I apologize about that, but I want to get you a better view of the screen. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit our USB panic button, and then give you guys a better view of that. So my apologies.
Facility-wide intruder lockdown has been issued. Follow standard shelter-in-place procedures. More information to follow.
All right, sorry about that, guys. So, as we were discussing the reports now, so I want to get you guys a good understanding of, what it looks like now to view it, because it's certainly important on your end to show how effective it's been. Every single alert that you guys send out is monitored and recorded, and then so what you're able to see is, so we had 3 beacons, 2 desktops, and 1 cable TV override, and that was delivered within 10 seconds. So what you're able to see is the breakdown through your school or wherever you're sending out that message of how effective it was, and even the acknowledgments. So it can certainly keep track of who is acknowledging the message if they're clicking them on desktops, and then even clicking them on the alert beacons. So it's an effective way of monitoring that. So that's everything that I wanted to show you guys. I want to turn it over back to John to close up. So John.
Sure, great. All right, thanks, Miles. I appreciate it. So I think what we'll what we'll do at this point is we'll open up to questions. I think we did hit on every point. One thing I do want to touch on before we answer questions is one node that I didn't mention was the VoIP integration. I don't know if you could hear sort of a bell sound in one of the alerts. So if you have an existing phone alerting system, that's also one of the other nodes. So that's something we can get you some more information on down the road. So I think what we'll do is open it up to questions. Please feel free to ask whatever you want. I'm sure if you have a question, there's at least 4 or 5 other schools that are on that will have the same question. So please don't be shy, and hopefully I can answer them. Jamie?
Thanks, John. So we would now like to open up the floor to questions. Just a reminder, you can very easily submit your question by entering it into the chat box. And as John said, we'll address those now. Just really quickly, I would like to remind everyone that we do have a number of really great webinars coming up. We have 2 coming up in December. One in particular that I wanted to highlight is actually our next webinar session coming up on December 2nd, Best Practices in the Event of an Active Shooter. That's going to be a really good session. We have 3 panelists coming in from very notable colleges and universities that are going to be sharing their insights on best practices and protocols in active shooter scenarios. So we really hope that you're able to join us for that. We also have 3 Alertus system overview webinars coming up. One will focus on the fire panel integration that John mentioned earlier. We also will have one on the Lirc Beacon as well as the Alertus desktop notification. If you would like additional information on those or would like to register, you can do so at alertus.com/Alertus webinar series. Also, John mentioned that we are recording this webinar session. If you would like slides or video from the session, feel free to email us also at marketing@alertus.com. Finally, if you do have additional questions that we're not able to address here, or would like some additional information on some of the products that we covered, feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to answer any questions or provide additional information. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and open up the floor to some of the questions. So the first one, John, is in talking about the Alertus system, is it easy to expand the system if someone's really looking to maybe either build on a system they already have or create something from scratch and build on it over time?
Yes, that's probably one of our more common questions. Actually, one of the issues that everyone's been running into, especially the last few years, is budgeting. So, as I mentioned, we will give sort of the what I call the optimal design solution for you, but we'll also can give you sort of an option B and option A, which can be expanded on. So the basic system that most sporting preparatory schools start off with are maybe a half a dozen alerting beacons, and they'll put them sort of at the key egress points of each of the dormitories or the buildings, maybe some high travel areas. Then they'll also get our ENS package, and the ENS package actually comes with a lot. It comes with the mobile application, and it comes with the Premier desktop. It also comes with Premier support in our Alertus notification server. So basically, you'll have the ability to push alerts across the alert beacons, the computer pop-ups, and the mobile applications. Also with the ENS package, actually, I forgot about that, is it also comes with the digital display override. So if you currently have displays on campus, or you're thinking about bringing digital displays on campus, we can override that. Then say a year from now or 2 years from now, you have more, maybe an alumni who wants to donate a certain part of the emergency warning system, or budget becomes available. It's really just a matter of adding a few more beacons here, a few more beacons there. It's extremely simple. I want to say plug and play, but it does involve some calls to our tech support, but it's extremely easy to expand. I come from the sort of old mass notification industry where if you wanted to put a new PA system in a building, you're talking running speaker wire, you're running basically a construction project, where our system is net-centric. You know, you're plugging into the local network and you really just need a network jack and communication back to the server application. So, you know, that's sort of a winded answer to it, but basically over the years it can expand very easily, yes.
Great, thanks, John. Next question. What is your advice on differentiating between shelter-in-place and lockdown using the Lirc beacons?
Well, shelter-in-place is basically. Let me first answer with my background is almost exclusively technical. I'm a technical person. My background is in engineering, so I can talk to you. So regarding the shelter-in-place versus lockdown, basically lockdown is an instance of shelter-in-place. So there's really only, you're either going to shelter-in-place, you're going to evacuate, and then you're going to have sort of an exercise. So if I understand your question correctly, they're basically just instances of each other. A lockdown is an instance of a shelter-in-place. Did I get the question? Did I answer that correctly, or?
I think so. Next question. What factors should be taken into consideration when installing alert beacons, outdoor notification, or other components of the Alertis system across a campus?
I think the first thing to look at is what is the existing infrastructure. One of the best features of the Alertis system is we try to leverage existing technology as much as possible. So if you have the existing SMS text alerting system, we don't want to replace that, or we don't want you to have to activate that separately. We want to integrate with that system. And do you already have an existing fire enunciator or indoor PA system that we can override? So the first step is really to look at that existing infrastructure and see what we can add to. And then secondly, we want to look at where is everyone? Where are the students most of the time during the day? And usually we try to just cover the areas where most of the students and the faculty are most of the time, and then expand the system out to sort of the outlying areas where they are less often. So again, first step is looking at the existing infrastructure and leveraging it. The second step is really looking where are the students and the faculty and how do we cover them efficiently. And then I'd say the third step is try to get as many emergency alerting devices as possible going at the same time, so that not only do they see the emergency message, they then get a confirmation of the emergency message, because just seeing the message once on the screen, a student may actually question it and say, well, geez, is that a test? But then you get that second one on your phone, or that second one over the speakers, or that third or fourth message. All of a sudden you realize that this is a serious situation and I need to follow the instructions the system's giving me.
Thanks, John.
Sure.
To expand on the first question, what are the best ways to differentiate between different types of alerts, whether you're dealing with an active shooter, school lockdown, perhaps a weather-related emergency alert, a bomb threat? What capabilities do the Alertis system products have to differentiate between different types of alerts, to distinguish between them?
Sure. So each one of those scenarios, we would configure the system maybe a little differently. So maybe you don't want to, if you have sort of a weather alert, you're almost definitely not going to set off your outdoor mass notification and siren system. That's more for an imminent, life-threatening, immediate threat. So what we'll do is for each one of those emergency scenarios, we'll configure it to set off different devices. And I think Miles did a good job of showing that you can do different colors on the alert messages. So if it's just a test, or if it's a weather advisory, you do sort of a yellow or sort of a blue color code, and then the more emergency situation, you use red. And we use different devices for different emergency situations or just notification situations.
Great. Well, I think we've come to the end of our Q&A. Oh, actually, we did just have another question come in. And John, I think you were just speaking to this. Do the beacon lights change colors?
Yes. Well, the basic color is the orange amber color. I don't know if you can show them if you saw them during the camera, but typically the customers use just the amber yellow flashing light.
Excellent. I think that's it for our questions for today. We would like to thank everyone for joining us. Again, we'll have video and slides for this available, so do email us if you're interested in those. And we hope to see you at one of our upcoming webinars as well. So thank you, everyone.